As a 22-year-long fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, coming out of Fast X, I simply have to say, this is like Avengers Endgame if I had to compare it to the MCU. I don't mean that in a bad way. In fact, that's pretty awesome, and we're going to be talking about it right now. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to Podio Commentary. This is my review of Fast X. This is going to be a shorter review. I will have a long-form conversation going into the history, the production history, everything else going on with that, hopefully before the end of the weekend. But for right now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the movie itself, because this is a movie. This is a big, bold, beefy, brash movie, and I loved it. I freaking loved it. I'm like I said at the beginning, I'm a lifelong fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. The franchise began June 2001, 22 years ago. I was working at the Santee Drive-In in Santee, California. I was 19. I was really into street racing back then. I should say, like, I was like really big on the whole thing because like my friends were into it. And when the movie opened at the drive-in, like every racer in the city came out. We had like 500, 600 cars, all street racers at the theater. And it was just really mind-blowing to watch. So I've always been a fan of the franchise, even when it got to be very ridiculous. And I will say, I just finally got the chance to sit down and watch Fast 9 a couple of nights ago. I don't know why. I had just kind of like not seen it for some reason since last year, but I sat down, I gave it a watch, and it wasn't my favorite of the franchise. It just kind of felt like they were really, really, really trying to do a setup movie for this, but also just taking it so far out into the absurd that it kind of proved a lot of the critics correct about like how crazy this franchise will get. That being said, I also feel Justin Lin, who helmed 4 previous entries, all of which were good, I feel he kind of phoned this one in. So when you find out about the director drama following a couple of days of production into Fast X between Vin Diesel and Justin Lin, and how that led to Lin exiting filming Fast X and ultimately the finale Fast 11, although now who knows if it's going to be Fast 11 and Fast 12. I mean, after watching this, I kind of want them to go to Fast 12. I'll be fair, and I'll explain why by the end. I'm going to try not to go into spoilers, by the way. I'm not going to do spoilers. But, you know, so they brought in Louis Leterrier, who did like The Incredible Hulk. He did like the Now We See Me movies. He did Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans. This guy's a good studio director. He understands how to come on in and how to do all this stuff. Even though, from what I was reading, he also took the story that Justin Lin had co-written and he did a lot of uncredited rewrites leading, you know, like during production on the film. And I think one of the reasons why I liked this movie more than Fast 9 was because, yes, it was still absurd. It was still wild. It was still reckless in many, many, many ways. But it did have a certain grounded approach to the movie that was one of the things I think worked really well in Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious, Fast 5, and Fast 6. You know, I really feel like that kind of grounded approach was one of the things that sold this movie to the general populace. It was a lot of spectacle, a lot of craziness, a lot of explosions, but you could still relatively suspend disbelief enough. Whereas in Fast 9, that goes out the damn window. And so it's like, maybe they just had to do Fast 9 like that. They just had to get it out of their system to really hone in on the finale. And the great thing about Fast 9 and even this movie is that there is a level of self-awareness. In Fast 9, it's there. There's a whole subplot about self-awareness and how strong and powerful and crazy they've all become. In this movie, there's really like one line of dialogue that's kind of touching upon how crazy it gets. And, you know, so a little self-aware on that particular front. But at the same time, it's like, you're kind of like, okay, at least they are aware of this, but you still are kind of waiting for that spectacle because that spectacle is a large selling point for the franchise. There's a fair amount of street racing in this, right? It kind of goes back to street racing roots. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of car chases. There's a lot of explosions. There's a lot of death-defying stunts. A lot of times where characters should have died, but didn't die because this is a Fast and Furious franchise. And quite frankly, no one can die. And so I'm really curious if like the one person who maybe is going to be dead, if they're actually going to be dead in this movie. I have no idea if that's going to happen. So who knows what's going to happen, what's going to come back, so on and so forth, because this franchise, you never know. You never know who's right around that corner. You never know who's going to come back. You never know who's going to pop up just to say hi and lead us into another adventure. This movie franchise is really good at that. It's really good at bringing everyone back because, obviously family, and I will say in Fast 9, there was a lot of references to family, almost too much in Fast 9. Here, there's a couple references, but again, they've already established that this is where things are. They've already established that this is like the joke. Again, this is mainstream commentary. Sonic the Hedgehog made fun of it. Shazam 2 made fun of it. Other movies and other things have made fun of it. Fast and Furious is not some weird avant-garde franchise. This is one of the big franchises. So obviously at this point, people are going to be talking about it from that perspective. I have to say though, so like storyline wise, yeah, okay. I'm game. Storyline wise, I'm game. Obviously it tying into Fast 5. If you've seen the trailer, you already know that. I won't go into any more details than that. I will say this though, Jason Momoa. Love Jason Momoa in this movie. Mwah, 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 mwah. He's so crazy. There's a scene with him, and I will not go into detail, but my jaw hit the floor. Like it actually hit the floor because you're looking at something and you're like, is that what I think it is? And then it does a cutaway and you're like, oh my God, it's what I think it is. Holy crap. And the whole time, Momoa is just playing it up in such a fun way that you can't help but just like want more of him on the screen. Like, I don't want to give away. So he's got some great one-liners. He's got at first I was a little like the first time we get a real introduction to him as like the bad guy, I'm like, all right. And then but then he does some crazy stuff. And you're like, he's smart, he's intelligent, he is committed, and he is going to cause pain and he's going to cause suffering. And that is what he wants to do. That's exactly what he's in for. And it's like, and he's going to do it, and he's got a lot of plans and stuff. And it's crazy. I don't know if he is the big bad of this world, but right now, like the best way to kind of describe him would be like, if you've ever played Far Cry 3, remember Voss, Michael Mando's Voss? A little bit of that. Like that energy is but more like Momoa's very personable, charming energy, as ever weird as that is to say. But like he's creepy, he's dark, he's twisted, he's funny. Every time he was on scene, he stole the scene for me. He stole it completely. Brie Larson does a pretty decent job for what she's in the movie for. Daniela Melchior does a pretty good job. John Cena does a good job. There's a lot of characters, a lot of new characters. It's a big movie now. The only thing I don't think I get is like one character appears in the beginning of the movie that I don't really know why she's there. It's kind of dumb. Like the opening, like maybe first 10 minutes of the movie are very like melodramatic, and I know it's all an establishment and a setup for what's to come, but I'm just like, all right, get past that crap, get on to the main story, because when you get into the main story, it's bonkers, but it's fun bonkers. This is a popcorn movie. This is a big blockbuster popcorn movie that you should actually watch on is probably as big a format as you possibly can. It is a blast. Some of my concerns were there were some times where some of the CG was a little iffy, some noticeable green screen stuff. You can probably tell some of the reshoot stuff. Some of the dialogue was pretty cringe. Some of the acting on that dialogue was pretty cringe, but it's all what you kind of come to expect with a Fast and Furious movie, right? It's all what you've come to expect with all of this. And that's why in and of itself, it plays true to its roots. There are references to basically every other movie in the franchise, some minor ones to some big ones. You've got character moments with really kind of everybody, a couple of weird cameos here and there, a couple of weird little bits here and there. But largely it's a fun movie that is building to this finale that is going to bring back everyone. I won't elaborate on that. You have to go see the movie for yourself. But there's one character who gets something happen to them that I don't want to go into like too much detail. I was legit bummed when this thing happened because I've grown to like this character immensely. And I thought they did a great job in the movie. They were a lot of fun in the movie. They had some great moments, and it's just like you kind of just grow really attached to them very quickly. And then some shit goes down. But at the end of it, man, let me just say this. If you happen to be a fan of the other movies and you want to see where this whole thing is going to go, watch this movie because it's going to you can kind of see where it's going to go, but it's globe trotting, blowing stuff up, street races, tons of action, gunplay, car play, all sorts of stuff. Wild movie, better than its predecessor, to be fair. And it's one I'm looking forward to watching again as I make my way through the franchise, leading into the finale. And I don't know if this movie is going to do well enough to warrant 11 and 12, but I really hope that happens simply because I think keeping Momoa around as a bad guy is just insane. Like in a good way, because he brings so much energy to the movie that he steals every scene he is in. The same with Brie Larson does a really good job. Danielle Melchior is going to be a good addition. We have an established character set now. We have an established villain now. We have very much we have a good setup for a finale. How are they going to get out of this? That's the question. And that's what I'm here for. And I want to know your thoughts about this. Let me know down in the comments section. If you guys like the movie, let me know. If you guys don't like the movie, let me know. We'll do a longer form Podio commentary this weekend where we kind of go into the production history of the movie and spoilers. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great night. Thanks again for watching.